Vinnie Politan, great to have you with us tonight here on Closing Arguments. It was the story of the day. Everyone watching Johnny Depp on the witness stand. Unbelievable, fascinating, captivating on many different levels, and so intimate as well, the details that we're learning. But the first reaction many people are having who are tuning in and watching Johnny Depp is his slow delivery. How he takes his time to make his points on the witness stand. And some people are discounting it, saying it's a show, he's an actor, this is what he does, right? He's putting on a show, it's all rehearsed, etc. I don't necessarily agree. I don't agree. You know, actors, when they're acting, are given lines that are written for them. What is happening in that courtroom on the witness stand is clearly unscripted. Nobody wrote this out and he had to remember his lines and he's delivering them. No. This is real. What we're seeing on the witness stand, what you're seeing and hearing is Johnny Depp. It's Johnny. It's not a character that he has created. It's not a script that his lawyers wrote for him. I mean, think about the way this is going. They ask a question, and then between the pauses, the thoughtfulness, and the details that are part of every answer to every question, he is going on and on and on, unlike any witness we have ever seen here on Court TV. Usually it's a back and forth, question, answer, question, answer, question, answer. The lawyer's trying to pull teeth. No, it's a question, and then everybody sits down, and then Johnny Depp's one-man show begins, taking over that courtroom, absolutely taking it over. Make no bones about it. I mean, it's his words. You know, many times it's the lawyers kind of leading the witness or leading their client through all of this, trying to navigate. Not at all. The lawyers are merely prompting him. Well, what about this? And then he goes on, sometimes literally for 10 minutes in an answer. And it's the details in those answers that for me are so important. Because Johnny Depp is not just speaking and just recalling. He's painting a picture. He's creating an image. I mean, you can visualize as he describes each of these moments. He is taking you there. And maybe that comes from being a performer, from being an artist, from being an actor. That part I'll give you. But it's a gift, and it's unlike most witnesses who take the stand. Sometimes they're, come across just like he's telling stories. And sometimes people might get frustrated, the delivery's a little slow, but let me tell you, those people that are saying that are still waiting and anticipating what will come next. What is he going to reveal to us? What is he going to tell us? And from my perspective, as we sit here tonight, he has told a series of stories and painted a grand picture that is exactly what he wanted to do in his case, which was get his story in front of everyone. But there was one story today that I think was the most powerful, and it was this bar scene that he described, where he had gotten into a fight with Amber, had locked himself in the bathroom, and then when he got out, he went downstairs. They're in Australia. He's in the middle of filming one of the pirate episodes or movies. So he's in the middle of all that. He's home after work, and he's down at the bar, and he describes this violent moment between him and Amber Heard. But he doesn't just say, yeah, she threw a bottle at me. No. He takes you to the scene. You're at the bar with him. You can picture him doing everything. Masterful job. I mean, it's etched in my mind. And you think about the impact it has on everyone else who's listening as well. Let's take a listen, because this is, I think, one of the prime examples of the effectiveness of what I'm seeing, of Johnny Depp on the witness stand explaining and telling the jurors, telling Amber Heard, who's listening, and telling the world what he believes really happened.
Again, I had been sober for many, many months from alcohol and substances, aside from the marijuana. And I left the place, the room that I was hiding in, or not hiding, locked myself into. And I went downstairs in the house. Downstairs in the house, as soon as you walk in the house, you can go upstairs or downstairs. Downstairs, there was a sort of a rec area, pool table and such. And there was a bar. And I was a mess. I was a wreck. I was shaking, and I just didn't understand why all this was happening. So I went behind the bar. I grabbed a bottle of vodka that was there and a shot glass and sat at the bar. She was nowhere around. And I poured myself 2 or 3 stiff shots of the vodka. First taste of alcohol I'd had in a long time. And then she came down to the bar and found me there. And of course started screaming, "Oh, you're drinking again, the monster," and all that. So she walked up to me and reached and grabbed the bottle of vodka, and then just kind of stood back and then hurled it at me. And it just went right past my head and smashed behind me. So I stood up and I walked behind the bar, and there was a larger bottle of vodka, the kind with the handle, on it. I grabbed that and I went and I sat in my seat again. I opened the bottle and I poured myself a shot and drank it. Miss Heard was flinging insults left, right, and center, and she then grabbed that bottle and threw that at me. And the way that the bar was situated and where Miss Heard was, so if I could show you, so if this is the bar where the glass was and the bottles, if this was the bar and I was sitting here like this, she would grab the bottle and she would go there. She went there. And so I was leaning like this in the chair, looking at her. First bottle went, then I got the other bottle, shot. Takes the second bottle, which was the larger one. I'm in this position again, and my hand is on the edge of the bar, like that, leaning over, the fingers like that, and she threw the large bottle, and it made contact and shattered everywhere. And I honestly didn't feel the pain at first at all. I felt no pain whatsoever. What I felt was I felt heat. I felt heat, and I felt as if something were dripping down my hand, you know. And then I looked down and realized that the tip of my finger had been severed, and I was looking directly at my bones sticking out.
Now, in most trials, most witnesses describing an incident like that, it might be, well, I went downstairs, I was drinking some vodka, and my wife came down and she was angry and she grabbed the bottle, she threw it at me, and it would be done. I mean, that was like 5 minutes and change to describe every detail, every emotion of the moment. Let's bring in Court TV legal correspondent Chanley Painter, who is live outside the courthouse in Fairfax County, Virginia tonight, was inside the courtroom for all of this. Chanley, it's unlike any other witness. This is captivating, it's compelling. Ultimately, yeah, he's got to convince the jury, but this is such a different experience in hearing a witness tell stories.
Right, for as long as he wants to, Vinny. And these jurors, they just keep their cool. You know, everyone in the gallery is sitting on pins and needles, hanging on his every word, and the gallery is just observing him like they've observed every other witness so far in this case, taking occasional notes. But I do notice, really anytime when a witness stands up in a jury box or leaves, the witness box, or leaves the box to demonstrate something like you just showed, that's a powerful time, because that really does draw everyone's attention, all the jurors looking on, observing every movement the witness is making, and just reliving that moment with the witness. And those are powerful times for Johnny Depp as he explains this story. He tries to repaint this narrative of Amber Heard's allegations towards him. So I did notice a shift in at least one of these jurors. She's the woman who sits on the front row, the only woman on the front row, one of the older people on the jury. And she today did give away a little slight nod or two. So when he turns to the jury to speak to the jury, at times he has seen that she will make eye contact with him. So Johnny Depp a lot of times looks at this particular juror and she will nod in response. She took more notes today as he told his stories. And I also noticed this juror looking towards Amber Heard, the only one really on the jury panel who will spend time looking over at Amber Heard to gauge any sort of reaction, movement from her, as Johnny Depp is really detailing violence and cruelty inflicted upon him by that woman right there. And so that was an interesting shift today. Of course, let's talk about the gallery. They, of course, hook, line, and sinker for Johnny Depp. His fans, they will laugh when he laughs. They will sigh when he sighs on the witness stand. And I noticed on cross-examination, when the tone shifted a little bit, Vinny, there was a lot of murmuring in the gallery, like, let him speak, don't cut him off, that kind of thing coming from those watching.
All right, well, tell us a little bit about that cross-examination, because we got just a little bit of it at the end of the day, really setting things up for tomorrow.
Yeah, it was a little bit surprising. Everyone was expecting the day to end, but there was about 20 more minutes left on the clock, and Ben Rottenborn was ready to go, Vinny. And he wanted to gain control of that cross, even with Johnny Depp seeming a little bit impatient, talking back a little bit more. He would interrupt Johnny Depp. But the first thing that the defense focused on was the op-ed, where the direct testimony left off, why Johnny Depp believed that Amber Heard's 2018 op-ed defamed him, what type of movie roles he lost before the op-ed. And there was this one moment particularly strong for the defense about something Johnny Depp signed and agreed to. Let's watch.
Mr. Depp, that is your signature on the right, correct?
Yes, it is.
Dated August 15th, 2016, right?
That's what it says, yes.
And this is this is a document you signed, right?
For the third time, that is my signature, yes.
Can you go to paragraph 27, please?
Paragraph?
Paragraph 27.
Okay.
And this paragraph is a joint statement that both sides agreed to release. And if you look in the block quote there, it contains the quote, or it contains the statement, neither party has made false accusations for financial gain. Neither party has made false accusations for financial gain. Did I read that right?
You did.
Neither party has made false allegations for financial gain. Maybe his attorneys can work with that language, but you can bet that this defense is really going to home in on that throughout their case. And it'll be really interesting to watch all day tomorrow as cross-examination resumes, Vinny.
Oh, yeah. Big day tomorrow, the cross-examination. Chanley Painter in Fairfax, Virginia. We'll get back to you in just a second. I want to bring in special guest joining us from Vail, Colorado, executive producer of Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas, which starred Johnny Depp. Robert Vail is back with us. Robert, thanks so much for coming back. Great to see you again. I wanted you back on because I wanted to get your reaction to seeing Johnny on the stand and his testimony, your thoughts, your reaction. What are you seeing? I mean, you know Johnny a lot better than any of us.
Thanks for having me back, Vinny. I watched the testimony all day. I watched every minute of it. And it came to pretty much the same conclusion you did when you opened the show. I don't think he had much prep from his attorneys. I don't think he wanted it. I think that he didn't want to come off as rehearsed. He just wanted to answer the questions as the answers came to him. Obviously, they was coached on what was coming. Hopefully they'll coach him for the rebuttal because they did some damage, I think.
Rob, let me ask you about what I was mentioning, his delivery. So if you're speaking with Johnny Depp and he's not in a movie and he's not a character, he's just Johnny. Does he have that slow, deliberate, almost thoughtful delivery in conversation?
It depends. In general, if you're just chit-chatting about what's going on the set, it's just regular. No real thought, deep thought required. But speaking with him about books or music, then that's the exact way that he speaks. On the phone, in person, and could be tedious.
Yeah, I could see that phone call could take a while, right? So to me, it's coming across as very genuine, and what you're telling me is, yeah, that's the way he is when he's serious and he's being himself.
Absolutely, but I'm looking to see. To be fair, granted, I know the guy, but he's a showbiz friend. So, I don't see him much these days. I'm a recluse. But he wasn't acting. In general, when I see celebrities doing stuff, whether on trial or just on a show or something, you could tell that, they're stretching the truth. But no, he wasn't acting.
Robert Vail joining us tonight from Vail, Colorado. Appreciate your insight and your time tonight. Thank you so much. And I'm sure we'll be speaking again. This trial could be going on for another 5 weeks, Rob. Great to see you.
Yeah, you too. Good night.
Okay, when we come back, folks, another fascinating part of this whole thing is Johnny Depp's relationship with his mother and how that relates to his relationship with Amber Heard. We'll break that down and play a pretty shocking piece of testimony when we come back.
UC.edu.
I was sort of not allowed to be right, not allowed to have a voice. So at a certain point, when what enters your mind is you start to slowly realize that you are in a relationship with your mother, in a sense. And I know that that sounds perverse and obtuse, but the fact is that some people search for weaknesses in people.
In a relation, that's Amber Heard he's talking about. You know, we've heard his testimony about his childhood where he was abused by his mother, strained relationship there, and now he's comparing that to his relationship with Amber Heard. Wow. Let's bring in our guest. Joining us tonight in Orlando, Florida, family law attorney and defense attorney Kyla Coleman is with us. In San Antonio, Texas, forensic psychologist John Delatorre. And in Washington, D.C., journalist from overseas who covered Depp's UK libel trial, Nick Wallace, is with us. You can also check him out on the Reporting Depp v. Heard podcast. You must check it out. You must check it out, folks. And Nick Wallace, of course, is there inside the courtroom for all of this. John Delatorre, I got to begin with you. Mommy issues, we hear about that all the time. I mean, what's going on here with Johnny Depp as he's all of a sudden comparing his relationship to Amber Heard with his relationship with his mom?
Right. You know, when I listen to his testimony, number one, I think he's an absolute raconteur, but I also think that he is extremely insightful. And I think what we actually need to do is extend the metaphor that he was trying to tell us when he was testifying, which is, I don't think he truly ever saw himself getting into a relationship as volatile as this one. But when he entered into the relationship, it became somewhat familiar that Amber Heard was in fact his mother and that he was in fact his father. I think that places into context this idea that he stayed in the relationship so that it wouldn't fail, similar to what his father was trying to do as well. Johnny Depp was a father as well. There were kids involved. I think he was trying to set right the relationship between his parents that had gone wrong when he was a child.
Nick Wallace, the story we're hearing from Johnny Depp is that he is the victim. He's the victim.
Yeah. Yeah, he spoke of being slapped. He spoke of being kicked. Now, we didn't hear much about this in the 2020 trial. We didn't hear any evidence from Johnny Depp about Amber Heard attacking him, but it was all here today, talking about the scratches that he received, the roundhouse punch, the lot. And that put everything into an entirely different context. And he was very, very quick to draw parallels with his childhood relationship with his mother. And I think that may well be a strategy throughout this. It's his way of presenting himself as a victim. And I have to say, it was very, very credible evidence and testimony to be sitting there and watching it. He held the room with those lengthy pauses as you felt that he was groping for exactly the right way to explain himself.
Yeah, it is so different than any other witness I've ever seen or heard. Kyla Coleman, I want to play for you. This is a recording of Johnny Depp, Amber Heard, evidence in the case. And this is a he said, she said, but let's take a listen to what she's saying.
I'm telling you, if you lost memory last night of kicking me out the door with the hitting me,
again,
and your memory is gone from you kicking the bathroom door and hitting me in the skull as I was bent down.
I am
Wait,
sorry.
if you have those memory, divots.
I was upset. There was a lot going on, and I was on an Ambien. Like, why are you obsessing over the fact that I can't remember it the way you remembered it? I said I was sorry. I didn't deny it.
That. I'm not talking about that.
Kyla, something jumped out to me here. You know, we've been talking all about Johnny Depp, alcohol, drugs, blackouts, and now we're hearing about Amber Heard admitting she's on Ambien and she's not remembering everything, and she's apologizing to Johnny Depp.
Exactly. This was actually the part in the case that helped me put things together, because watching him testify, I was getting a little bit bored. I know that it was rehashing trauma for him, but it was very slow and I just wasn't able to connect. However, when they played this portion of the recording during trial, I was able to connect that this is always his demeanor. He's always, very calm and very slow talking. So when you see him on the stand compared to what you heard in the tape, everything is consistent. So it brought it together for me. And it also showed me a different side of Amber, because when you see her in the courtroom, she's very well put together, very well dressed, not showing much emotion on her face. But in that conversation, you heard a different side of her there.
Absolutely. John Delatorre, forensic psychologist, let me ask you, this relationship obviously very complicated. Most relationships are. They're not simple. But do you see a picture being painted here of someone being a villain and someone being the victim? Because, going into all this, Johnny Depp in the public was painted as the villain. She's the victim, the survivor. Are things turning around there? Can it be that simple, that it's all one side or it's all the other?
No, it's definitely not that simple that it's all one side or all of the other. And I don't know if either one of them is really a villain, so much as they seem to be anti-heroes for one another, right? That they're not exactly, absolutely negative for one another, but it's for sure that when they got together, they just were not right for each other. There was so much that both of them did not have dealt with, that they just were not a good matchup at all.
All right, when we come back, we're going to talk about Johnny Depp and his detox trip. He went down to the Bahamas. Not like, all right, where should we stay? No, we're just going to Johnny's island. That testimony next.
back in everything you buy.
Where did you do this detox process?
We did the detox process happened on. I have a place in the Bahamas. I'm never comfortable saying this, but it's an island. It's a very strange thing to say.
He's got an island. He's got his own island. And he got that after Jack Sparrow and all his incredible fame, that as a place to kind of get away, that's where he went for his detox. Let's bring back in our guests, Kyler Coleman, John Delatorre, Nick Wallace still with us. Nick, you know, it's really a strange place that Johnny Depp is in, you know, because he's trying or attempting, I think, to connect with the jury, be relatable, yet he is Johnny Depp. He does own an island. How is that coming across inside the courtroom? Is Johnny Depp like a guy you'd sit down and you know, hang with and talk about blues and have a drink with, or is he sort of aloof?
He's spent a large part of this trial explaining how the pressures of fame created an entirely different environment from the one that he grew up in. He painted his hardscrabble upbringing as something very relatable, and then he talked about the level of fame that he went from 21 Jump Street to Edward Scissorhands to this huge Pirates of the Caribbean, where everything changed, his whole life changed. He said taking the kids to the park became a strategic mission. But by talking in that way, he is making himself relatable. He's standing outside of this crazy bubble, which he found himself in. And it was quite funny seeing him struggle with the fact that he's got an island. And I thought he was being a tiny bit disingenuous. It must be fun having an island. So why not just enjoy it? You're Captain Jack Sparrow, you're a movie star, get over yourself. But he is obviously, and he saw that little look to the jury when he was having trouble mentioning that. And he's obviously conscious of the fact that he doesn't want to look like a rich man bullying his ex-wife through the courts for a libel trial. He wants to come across as the victim. And so you could see what he was juggling with there. But I think overall, he does come across as relatable. He does come across as the kind of guy you could talk about Jack Kerouac with, or James Joyce, or blues music. So I think he's succeeding if that's what he's trying to go for. But I'll go back to what I said before. He seems genuine. It seems like that is the person he is. He's not putting on an act for the jury.
Yeah, Kyla, I keep coming back to this. This is a he said, she said. She is going to testify at some point. But what I'm watching and I'm feeling just from watching on television and not even being in the courtroom is that I'm hanging on his words. And I'm a little jaded. Come on, I've been covering trials for 2 decades. You know, all lawyers get a little jaded, but I'm hanging on every word. Does that put pressure now on Amber Heard when it's time for her to tell her side of the story?
It does. I think she might do well on her case in chief, but I liked how the defense left off today. They left off on a high note. They could have had the option to, not begin questioning today, but they did. And the fact that they got him to admit that he signed a document basically saying that there were no false allegations made, I think they left off on a high note, because we know jurors remember the first thing they hear and then the last thing that they hear. So now they have to go home and ruminate on everything that they've heard today, and they're probably going to remember the last thing they heard, which was the defense bringing up the fact that he's admitted there were no false allegations.
Yeah, John Delatorre, forensic psychologist, the connection that has to be made inside that courtroom is so important. Sometimes it's the lawyers who make it. In some cases, I've seen that, but in other cases, it's the parties, the people who are directly involved. And here, it seems like Johnny is really doing that. Tomorrow will be cross-examination, where, it's not friendly questions. It's going to be, questions designed to make him look like a liar, designed to make him look like a domestic abuser, designed to make him look like a wife beater. How revealing will that part of this case be?
It'll be very revealing, and I think Johnny Depp really needs to take this night to figure out how he can answer these questions without being too verbose, right? Because that's one of the things that we really saw, towards the end of today, where when the defense attorney was cross-examining him, he got flustered, he got upset, and that can absolutely turn off a jury if it happens too much. And that's what the defense attorney wants. That's what Amber Heard wants. Amber Heard's attorney wants. They want to make him seem like he's actually more volatile than he has been exhibiting throughout his direct examination. Nick
Wallace, you saw him cross-examined in his last trial, and I think what you told us is over in the UK, when you have a trial, you're cross-examined before you tell your story. How was that Johnny Depp versus the Johnny Depp that we've been watching here for 2 days on direct examination?
Well, you don't get to tell your story, and I think Johnny Depp said that at the beginning of his direct examination yesterday. This was the first opportunity that he'd had right out of the traps. You're smashed with the cross-examination. And I have to say, I was surprised by the different temperament that he's been displaying, both in his direct examination and the cross-examination. In the cross-examination in the UK, he was charm personified, incredibly polite, incredibly courteous, no matter what was thrown at him. And he was a lot sharper. He seemed a lot more on the ball. Today and yesterday, he was ponderous. He was a little unsure of himself. And then when it came to the cross-examination, he was defensive. He was really addressing Ben Rottenborn as Mr. Rottenborn and leaning forward and suggesting that he was trying to be caught out and that he knew the game that the attorney was playing and he was going to play him at his own game. I don't think that is going to work for him because he doesn't have those weapons at his disposal. I think if he wants to come across credibly to the jury, he needs to go back to being that Southern gentleman like he was in the UK witness box and play it like that. Having said that, he lost the UK trial. So maybe he's just had enough. Maybe he's just going to give it both barrels and play the game the way he sees it rather than strategically.
I think that's a great point because you go one way in one case and you lose. And you're like, well, now I know the game. I'm not going to sit back here and take it. But Kyla Coleman, do you think he can turn the defense attorney, Amber Heard's attorney, do you think he can turn that attorney into a villainous character and get the jurors on his side in battle in this cross-examination? Because sometimes people don't like us lawyers, Kyla.
They don't. We are definitely different personalities, but I think if he just keeps it short, yes, no, those are the responses. Just do that, and then his attorney can come back up on direct examination or redirect examination and clean everything up. I think what he has to do is just have trust in his own attorneys and their abilities to make him continue to look good.
All right, we shall see tomorrow. What a day. Wow. Kyla Coleman, John Delatorre, Nick Wallace, thank you so much for your time and your insight and perspectives. Really give us a whole different look at what we were witnessing today. Thank you so much. When we come back, we're going to bring back in Chanley Painter, Court TV legal correspondent, and tell you a little bit about what the cameras didn't show you today.
any case, the elevation and the escalation of these day-to-day arguments were simply unnecessary. It was not to help the relationship. It did not help the relationship. It wasn't meant to help the relationship. It was meant to feed her need for conflict. She has a need for conflict. She has a need for violence. It erupts out of nowhere, and what I learned, the only thing I learned to do with it is exactly what I did as a child. Retreat.
Some powerful testimony from Johnny Depp today inside that courtroom. And again, that's another one of those parallels between his relationship with Amber Heard, his relationship with his mother. And, you know, through the course of his direct examination, Amber Heard is coming out, if you believe him, looking like a villain, looking like the aggressor, looking like the abuser in this broken relationship. Let's bring back in Court TV legal correspondent Chanley Painter, who is in Fairfax County, Virginia, outside the courthouse tonight, but inside the courtroom during the day. All right, tell me some things about what's going on down there. I was down there week one, obviously a lot of action this weekend today. How about from the jury?
Well, this jury, deadpan, inscrutable most of the time, Vinny, even when Johnny will make a joke here or there yesterday or today, talking about his tattoo, Winona Forever, that turned into Wino Forever, that got a big laugh from the gallery, but nothing, absolutely nothing from the jury at all. But there was a couple moments today that I noticed inside the courtroom where I think the jury and Johnny Depp share a common frustration, and it has to do with objections. Let's watch.
Do you have a drinking problem, Johnny?
Objection calls for hearsay. What the doctors told him.
I'm not sure he's saying what the doctors told him.
I think that's what's about to be testified to.
If you can make that clear, I guess.
Let me ask you a different question, Mr. Depp.
Yes. Let's let him object to another one.
In 2016, how was Miss Heard celebrating her birthday?
We'd set up a dinner for her, which was, she wanted to have a dinner. Rocky's boyfriend, who was some sort of chef, he asked her what she would like for him to cook. That's hearsay, I guess.
Yes. Go ahead. I'm not just sure it's offered for the truth of the matter asserted.
He got it.
Okay, all right, well then.
I'm learning.
Yeah.
Ed White was at the time, he was my new business manager. He had shown me things that, from my former business managers that were quite disturbing.
Hearsay.
I believe he said he showed him.
Yes, yes, I looked at papers. Maybe they're hearsay papers. I don't know.
I believe he was being shown financial documents.
All right. So, I'll sustain us any hearsay that might be
Understood.
Hearsay papers, Vinny. Those moments, of course, you could hear the gallery laughing, and the jury, they cracked smiles each time Johnny Depp had an issue with hearsay objections, and that was really the only objection the Heard's attorneys made throughout his long answers and testimony on direct, to the point that Johnny Depp knew what hearsay was and would add his commentary. So these jurors also seem amused by that process between the attorneys making objections or not making objections, and they found that common interest with Johnny Depp. Maybe that'll work out for him. But again, that's the only time that they would show any sort of reaction.
Well, I think that's telling and potentially significant. If he's got them on in his vibe, in his world, it can do a lot. You know, as I always say, sometimes it's the connection with the lawyer. Here, it may be a connection with one of the parties. How about the crowd in the courtroom? We know it's a pro-Johnny courtroom. How were they today?
Right. More people here today than I think on day one, Vinny, and they lined up early this morning, 5 a.m., to receive a wristband at 7 a.m. Every morning, they give out about 150 wristbands available for people to get a seat inside the courtroom. If the courtroom's full, they go to the overflow room. But this courtroom today, almost full, more than 100 seats available in this giant courtroom. And there you see the video of them lining up first thing this morning to receive these wristbands, and they packed that gallery, Vinny, all day today. And like you said, majority there for Johnny Depp. So you can hear them sighing, you can hear them mumbling. Definitely pro Johnny Depp, laughing at everything that he did. And they also stand outside and, you know, the back where Johnny arrives and where he departs, and they'll be behind the gate yelling, "We love you, Johnny, we love you, Johnny." And he will roll down his window and he'll wave at them, you know, stick his hand out and acknowledge them. Even in the courtroom, too, today, at the end of the day, he acknowledged his fans before he left.
It's interesting because you showed the video of the folks who were lining up, and I didn't see any men. I didn't see any men in that line. There might be some that showed up a little bit later, but they certainly weren't there when we were shooting the video. And there was Johnny Depp leaving court today. Sometimes you get a sense of either side, how they feel, like at the end of the day, like it was a good day, like we did what we wanted to do. Did you get any sense of that?
Well, both of them seem to acknowledge everyone they come into contact, especially Johnny Depp. He will make the court reporter acknowledge him before when he enters and leaves the courtroom. I mean, he is that detailed, greeting almost everyone you see him greeting there. And most of the time, even this morning, in that SUV, blaring Bob Marley again this morning. I guess that must pump him up, get him in the mood for court every day. But that seems to be a common theme we see from Johnny Depp. Amber Heard, on the other hand, is really quick. She will go straight into court, straight out to court, not as much taking her time and waving at people.
Yeah, and I hope he's just listening to Bob Marley and not doing something else that sometimes people do when they listen to Bob Marley. There was some testimony about that today.
Don't see smoke or anything coming out.
No, I didn't see any either, so I think we're good there. All right, so tomorrow, again, big day. It'll be a full day of cross-examination of Johnny Depp, and we'll see. I mean, it was like, you know, oil and water today. That will continue tomorrow.
Yeah, it will be. I'll be inside bringing every moment, Vinny.
All right, Chanley Painter at the courthouse in Fairfax County, Virginia. When we come back, we'll bring in our think tank and break down the legal strategy inside that court. In Fairfax County, Virginia, Johnny Depp on the stand describing for the jury and for the world all the abuse he says he endured at the hands of his ex, Amber Heard.
She then grabbed that bottle and threw that at me. The tip of my finger had been severed.
And playing recordings of his arguments with Amber Heard.
I was hitting you. It was not punching you. Babe, you're not punched.
Don't tell me what it feels like to be punched.
Tonight, we have all the big moments from the courtroom and take a look at why an A-lister, Johnny Depp, would want the public to see and hear all these intimate details of his broken relationship. And on the docket, the killer clown trial, Sheila Keene Warren, accused of dressing like a clown and killing Marlene Warren and then marrying her husband. Plus, tonight's 13th juror question. How do you think Johnny Depp lost his finger? Buckle your seatbelts. This hour of closing arguments starts right now. I'm Vinnie Politan. Thank you so much for joining us tonight here on Closing Arguments. Why did he do it? Why did Johnny Depp file this lawsuit? Why would he air all of these intimate details of this broken relationship, knowing everything that's going to come out from his alcohol and drug use to every detail? I mean, celebrities try to lead a somewhat private life as much as they can. They want to stay away from the paparazzi and everyone else. They want to be in the spotlight when they're promoting a movie. That's it. Then they want to just kind of like live their lives. Yeah, the lives should be fun and glamorous and all of that, but they really don't want you meddling or knowing what's going on behind their closed doors. They want to be as normal as possible as you can be, being a mega celebrity and star. Now, why would he do this? To me, is central to all of this, and it was answered very early on by Johnny Depp when he took the stand. Take a close listen.
It just kept getting bigger and bigger. So it was my responsibility, I felt, to not only attempt to clear my name for the sake of, well, for many reasons, but I wanted to clear my children of this horrid thing that they were having to read about their father, which was untrue.
Wanted to clear his name and clear the air about these allegations that were not true because, you know, he never got to tell his story. We never heard his story. We never really paid attention. And think about what has happened over the last 2 days. Everyone is paying attention. Try to go online and not see someone talking about this case. Flick around the TV when he's on the stand. Or actually, just keep it on court TV. But if you happen to, during a commercial, flick around, everybody's covering this. Everybody's watching and listening to Johnny Depp tell his story. Isn't that what this was all about? To begin with. To give his side of what happened in this broken relationship. And to say, listen, I am not Harvey Weinstein. I'm not one of those guys. I was actually a victim in all of this. We had a horrific relationship, but I'm not that guy. Don't label me as a domestic abuser. That's a lie. There was something else happening in this relationship. So he filed this civil suit, and this is a civil case, and we don't cover a lot of civil cases on court TV. One of the reasons is most civil cases settle. They settle. There is no verdict, there is no ending. They come to some secret settlement and they just go away, and you're like, well, what just happened? So tonight, I was thinking about this case, and I was thinking about why he brought it, why he told us he brought it, and now, over the course of 2 days, he's had the opportunity, unlike any other witness in any other case I've ever seen, to just talk and talk and talk. Hours of him telling his story with everyone finally listening. Has he accomplished what he wanted to accomplish? Is it possible that after he gets off the witness stand, he could tell his lawyers, let's just get out of here. I don't want her money. I told my story. Is that possible? Or does he need a verdict? Does he really need a verdict here? Does he really think he's going to get money from Amber Heard? Or is this about something else? Or am I missing the boat here, so to speak? Let me bring in our think tank. They've got a lot of experience. Joining us tonight in Atlanta, Georgia, criminal defense attorney Eklund Mercy. In Los Angeles, California, former federal prosecutor Nima Rahmani is with us. And in Phoenix, Arizona, the attorney who represented Jodi Arias and the author of the book series Trapped with Miss Arias, which you need to read, Kirk Nurmi is with us. Great to see everyone tonight. Does anyone think this is possible? That after he finally had a chance to tell his story and the world was listening today, that maybe he'll just walk away from this? Eklund, what do you think?
I think that's between him and his therapist. I think that he's gone so far. We've gotten this far. Might as well see what happens. I think that he's waited so long. It's for his children, and I think that he actually needs that seal of approval that, hey, I've been understood and I will be vindicated. It's not about the money. It's about getting your point across and being proven that you were right. You know, the defense for a defamation case is the truth. So that's why he's doing it.
Nima, is there any chance that Johnny Depp could just walk away now that he has told his story and we all heard it?
It's possible. I mean, it's completely up to him to dismiss the case. He's the civil plaintiff. But I don't think it happens, Vinny. I think he needs the verdict. And the reason he needs the verdict is what happened in the UK. He lost that case. He has to win this one. And some of it is to clear his name, but a lot of it is to resurrect his career. He's not touchable here in Hollywood unless he wins this case. No one's going to go near him in today's woke climate, Vinny.
Kirk Nurmi, what does your gut tell you here? You know, he told us that he wants to clear his name. Does he need these 7 people from Fairfax County, Virginia, to make it official? Or do you think him having the opportunity to tell his story with cameras rolling, with the world watching, could be enough for him to say, look, this is, now you know what really happened?
Vinny, I think you can get a lot of redemption by coming out and telling the truth, even if that comes at a great personal expense, in this case, having his personal life exposed. But he now is saying to the world, I want to be judged on the truth of who I am, and I'm willing to open myself up in order to face it, and face that kind of scrutiny in order to do that. Now, that in and of itself is a victory. But will that mean he is going to drop this case? I doubt it. And I don't think it's for the reasons that Nima comes up with, because I believe that he has redeemed himself in the court of public opinion. But I think following through with this case, or pulling out of this case now before completing this case, would alter that perception. Now, as he moves forward, to me, I think regardless of the outcome, he has redeemed himself in the court of public opinion, and that is what will reconnect him to Hollywood.
You know, at the end of the day today, we got a little piece of the beginning of the cross-examination, and we saw the dynamic. Let's take a look.
A lot of chance to talk, and I'm trying to be respectful of the court's time and the jury's time. So I'm going to ask you that question again, because I think it's a pretty simple yes or no question, which is,
You'd like it to be, sir. Nothing simple in this case.
Other than mentioning the fact of abuse accusations made 2 years prior, this opinion piece does not contain any details of your time together. Yes or no?
It contains fragments.
Okay, Nima, let me ask you, where do you think the defense is going to go at this point? Is their case going to be about the legal defense to defamation? Is that going to be the focus, that it's just this Washington Post article and there's no details in there? And Johnny Depp isn't named. It's 2 years after, so it doesn't involve any of the things that happened before? Or do you think they're going to spend time to try to basically prosecute Johnny Depp as an abuser?
Vinny, it's going to be both. They're going to take this straight on in the legal merits, and this is what they're going to do. Look, it doesn't matter if Amber Heard was the instigator. This isn't a self-defense case. It's not a criminal case. She could be both the perpetrator and the victim of domestic violence. And if the jurors are following the jury instructions in this case, and they realize this is a toxic, volatile, violent relationship where even their own therapist said,
but is that fair? Is that fair? Because I was thinking about this issue today, and I'm going to throw it to you, Nima, then everybody else jump in on it, because I really want to hear your opinions of it. Are you really like a victim, a survivor of domestic violence? Are you a domestic violence victim if it's mutual and at times you're instigating the conflict? Is that the way we as the public perceive someone when they come forward and say, yes, I'm a victim of domestic violence? Do we really think that is someone being genuine in making that assertion? If, and again, this is if, what the jury believes, if you are in a relationship where it's mutual, if you're in a relationship where you're giving as good as you're getting, if you're in a relationship where you're instigating the fights and the violence, should you truly be considered a survivor and a victim of domestic violence? Not legal technicality, but in the true spirit of what she was saying in that Washington Post op-ed.
Well, look, there's the spirit and there's the law. And I'm a current civil attorney, the only one on this panel. And as a matter of law, she can be a victim and a perpetrator. Yeah, maybe that's not what folks want to hear, but that's how you got to defend the case if you're Amber Heard. This isn't a self-defense case. This isn't a stand your ground case. This isn't like any of the other cases we cover on Court TV, and we've done this for years. This is a simple question. Was Amber Heard the victim of domestic violence? And the fact that she testified at her deposition, and I know she'll testify, that she instigated a lot of these fights, that does not change the analysis. Was that statement defamatory or not? That's really what this case is about, Vinny.
Go ahead, jump in.
Yeah, Vinny, that is a really tough. It's a really tough question to address, when we talk about that line of perpetrator versus victim, right? When we hear these words like mutual combatant. But one of the things that's going to be interesting as this thing plays out is we saw the jury connect to Mr. Depp, I think, and he talks about the injuries to his finger. And the jury's laughing along with him in the hearsay objection. And they've heard the voice of Amber Heard talk about hitting him. And, I didn't hit you this certain way. Right now, she's the only one who's properly being cast as an abuser. The Heard team is going to have to come up with a lot of evidence to switch that playing field, both in a legal sense and in the court of public opinion.
Go ahead, Eklund.
And I just think that she has to clean it up. That I don't, just based on the platform that she built off of the op-ed and how she became like a champion for domestic violence survivors, that she can't afford to also be like the one to instigate, to really share stories with women who, didn't gain their power, who weren't voluntarily in certain situations, and to like literally show that you empathize with them, to finally find out that a lot of the times you instigated it and that you made somebody else a victim. So I think that she has to clean it up. There is no way around it. It's not only about the court of the actual court, but for her, it's the court of public opinion, because that's where she started to play out. That's why he's there, is because she played it out in the court of public opinion. So although it's not criminal, it's civil, I think she has a lot more at stake. And I think at this point, her attorneys are really trying to make sure that she doesn't get, I think that they are trying to clean it up in the sense of, let's focus on how much money, let's not make her lose a lot of money by cleaning it up, by focusing really just on the law. But her career-wise and how she really presented to the world is going to be damaged if she doesn't do a really bang-up job on both ends.
I want you to take a listen here to Johnny Depp describing an alleged head-butting incident. There's a tissue. Is there blood? What exactly is going on here? Another fascinating part of the testimony from today.
That was when she accused me of headbutting her, of giving her a headbutt and breaking her nose. But there was no blood. There was no. I didn't hit her nose. If there was anything at all, it was a bump of. Well, I'm trying to restrain her. She's trying to get out of it. There's going to be some contact here and there, accidental contact, but not a headbutt. And she wouldn't let me see anything. And so I just tried to calm the situation as best I could. All the while, I was waiting for her to dispense with that Kleenex because I didn't trust it. And so I waited. And when she dropped it into the wastebasket in her bathroom, or in our bathroom, and left the room, went somewhere downstairs, I think, I don't know. And then I pulled the Kleenex out of the trash bin, and I inspected it pretty closely and realized that it was nail polish.
Nima, I was fixated on her reaction during that part of the testimony, and I'm trying to figure out what is going on and what that all means.
Well, they both have to play the role, and they're actors, Vinny.
Do you think she was acting there?
Cool. I think that Amber Heard wants to jump out of her chair and strangle Johnny Depp, but she doesn't want to come across as a volatile, toxic ex-wife. She has to play that role. And just like Johnny Depp is doing an amazing job of playing the victim in this case, she's going to do the same thing when she gets on the stand and her witnesses come and testify. I mean, these are two of the best witnesses. I mean, Johnny has testified very well. We've seen Amber in deposition. I mean, that I've ever seen in a courtroom in any case in my life. I think that she is keeping it together because she has to in front of this jury. How can you not get enraged when your ex-husband is telling the world that you're lying about your nose being broken?
She looks like she's about to cry, Eklund.
I don't see that. I personally, again, I don't do family law anymore because of this specific reason. But what I've seen is a lot of times when you see exes testify and having to watch your ex testify in court, you have the same like just zoned out look. So it's, you know, they just zone out. And a lot of times as attorneys, just making sure like, hey, you pick a spot on the wall, you focus on that, you avoid eye contact just in order to keep your emotions at check. And a lot of the times they're not even paying attention because they can't. So you don't know what her capacity is. She's not the attorney. She's probably checked out.
This is so personal, what's happening in the courtroom, Kirk. And you know, criminal cases we often cover, mostly cover here on Court TV, obviously sometimes very personal as well, but this, you have both parties that are there, and this has to be absolute torture to relive all these horrible moments in your relationship that just imploded.
Yeah, you know, oftentimes there is this kind of drama that doesn't just exist in family law, but it exists in criminal law as well. When we have relationships of this nature, these toxic relationships that fester and boil into something that becomes criminal, in this case, thankfully only civil. But, you know, I think I want to follow up on something Nima said, you know, her wanting to jump out of his seat and strangle Johnny Depp. What does that say? I mean, that just speaks so much volume of her ability as an abuser, right? And I saw her sitting there looking like ready to cry because she was being exposed. She was casting herself as a victim of domestic violence, standing outside the courtroom of England as a bastion of the Me Too movement, and it's all falling apart because when these details come out, her story is starting to fall apart as well.
Okay, when we come back, speaking of Amber Heard's story, what might her testimony look like and sound like? And this is a hard act to follow, right? And I say act, not meaning that he's acting on the stand, but it's difficult to follow Johnny Depp in the way he told these stories with such detail, vivid images that he created for this jury. Well, how is she going to handle that? We'll break it down with our think tank when we return.
He was about to push my sister down the stairs. She was attempting to break us up. I am protective over my baby sister. When he laid hands on her, I don't know what I did, but I know I jumped in between the actions that I saw could lead to a fatal injury to my sister. She was standing on the top of a flight of stairs, and she has never hurt anyone in her life, and she does not deserve to be pushed down the flight of stairs. And it looked like she was about to be. And I would have done what anybody who has a child or a sister would have done. I acted defensively in her life. I saw her standing on top of a flight of stairs and trying to interrupt a fight in between him and I. I don't know what part of my body I put in between me and him and her. But I would have done anything. I would have done anything to prevent her from being pushed down a flight of stairs.
That was Amber Heard in a deposition from several years ago talking about the incident at the top of the stairs. Well, Johnny Depp today inside the courtroom gave his version of that same incident. Let's take a listen.
Mr. Depp, could you please explain to the jury the circumstances that led to you having the bruise that's reflected in this photograph?
Again, there was another confrontation, another confrontation, another argument about something or other, and we were in penthouse 5 area, which was where Ms. Heard had her office at the top of the stairs. And so the stairs came down, and then there was a landing, and then another set of stairs went down the opposite direction. This took place on the landing, where she was coming out, trying to get to me, trying to hit me, trying to do anything she could. And then Whitney, her sister, was there who stepped in the way. And interesting thing that was interesting now is that Whitney stepped in front of Amber and was facing Amber to stop Amber. And when she was in between us, Amber snuck in she got the roundhouse in and just nailed me on the cheekbone.
Two versions of one incident. Let's bring back in the think tank. Kirk Nermi, let me ask you, listening to those two different accounts, which one sounds more plausible, more credible?
I think Johnny Depp's at this point in time. I mean, the way he told it, he was open and vulnerable and honest throughout the stand. He was methodical. He connected to that jury, and that makes more sense. It doesn't make any sense to me why Johnny Depp would push Whitney down the stairs. And we saw when Amber Heard was giving in this deposition, she was fierce, she was leaning forward, she was really getting into it, almost trying to convince people that this was what happened. And Mr. Depp, on the other hand, was simply, it appeared, relaying the incident. So right now, in terms of believability, my heart goes with Mr. Depp.
Let's go to another incident. This is the May 21st, 2016 incident. This is another big one. Here's Johnny Depp describing what he says happened.
It was a tough couple of days, and I really didn't feel like I deserved that kind of treatment. And I went over. And I said, let me talk to her. I grabbed the phone and I said to Io, you can have her now. She's yours. She's all yours. Right? And then I took the phone and I just banged like that onto that side of the couch was 8 feet long. The other side of the couch was about 6 feet long. I flopped it onto the couch, and I was walking towards the kitchen to exit, and then suddenly Rocky Pennington ran in to the penthouse and started, you know, "Leave her alone, Johnny, leave her alone." And I was by the refrigerator at this point. I was 20 feet away.
Where was Miss Heard at that time?
She was still sitting on the couch. And that's when the screaming, you know, the screaming started with, like, again, I'm 20 feet away. She's still got Io on the phone. She's got Rocky there. "Stop hitting me, Johnny," she's screaming in her best freaked out, upset voice, high-pitched. "Stop hitting me, stop hitting me." Jerry Judge and Sean Bett entered the room. And as they entered the room, and she was quite surprised to see them, she said, "That's the last time you'll ever hit me. That's the last time you'll ever do that to me." And again, I'm a good 20 feet away by the fridge. And then Jerry said, "Boss, I think we should just leave." And then we left.
So that's Johnny Depp's version. Let me put on the screen from Johnny Depp's complaint here. It sort of outlines the allegations that have been made about that incident by Amber Heard. Ms. Heard, according to Johnny Depp and his complaint, falsely began yelling, "Stop hitting me, Johnny." The interaction culminated with Ms. Heard, allegedly, again by Johnny Depp, making false allegations that Mr. Depp struck her with a cell phone, hit her, and destroyed the penthouse. This is one of those key interactions where Johnny Depp is saying this is a big lie. Eklund Mercy, how does Amber Heard prepare to tell this story? How do you think she approaches telling this story?
I don't know, because according to Mr. Depp, she went full Gone Girl. So I don't know how you do it without seeming more manipulative than he actually is painting her out to be. A lot of the time, sometimes a way complainants kind of mess up their case is by putting too much of the puzzles together. You know, sometimes you're making too much of the story. And this time you can see that he's just leading a little breadcrumb of, I think she's manipulative, I think she's narcissistic, I think you should believe me, instead of like really just like forcing his narrative on the jury. So I think that he's doing a really good job. So I am curious to see how the defense is going to, you know, combat that, because it's beautifully done. It's been beautifully done.
Mima, this is crucial, right, to the defense, that truth is a defense. So she's got to come forward and tell this story. How does she prepare for that? How does it come across? What's the approach?
The same way she prepared for the UK case, which she won, and a judge found that it was substantially true that Johnny Depp was a wife beater. And guess what? Johnny Depp appealed and he lost there. Now, what the Johnny Depp super fans don't really appreciate is that Amber Heard is also going to be an amazing witness. Depp has been phenomenal so far, but she is going to come on. We're in only week 2 of a 6-week trial, and mark my words, Vinny, when we're discussing her testimony, she's going to get on the stand and she's going to kill it. And none of us were there. But what Johnny Depp wants this jury to believe is that this whole story was completely fabricated. She's on the phone with a friend and she's just completely making up allegations that he's hitting her and striking her. Is that believable? Possibly. Anything's possible. But I think she's going to do a good job explaining all of this when she takes the stand.
Okay, when we come back, more from inside the courtroom. We'll also take you on the docket, another really fascinating trial that we're tracking here on Court TV. We'll give you a little sneak preview of that. Don't go anywhere.
Don't delay. Call our helpline now.
And when I knelt down on my hands and knees to look at her foot to see the injury, she kicked the bathroom door into my head. She kicked the bathroom door into my head, and I was completely taken aback by such a corrosive, horrific move. So I stood up, and I believe I stood up, and at this point the door was open. I stood up and I said, I think I said, what the was that? What the was that? And the next move was just a bang, and she clocked me in the jaw. And that was another shocker.
What a day inside the courtroom in Fairfax County, Virginia. Of course, we're continuing our coverage tomorrow. He'll be cross-examined. But while you're here, I wanted to tell you about another big case that we are tracking here on Court TV coming up this summer. It's the case of Sheila Keene Warner, the so-called killer clown trial. Here's a preview.
30 years ago, a person dressed as a clown, holding flowers and balloons, rang the doorbell at Marlene Warren's home. But when Marlene answered, the clown shot her to death.
It was one of the worst days of my life.
Advanced DNA testing led authorities to Sheila Keene Warren. The defendant ended up marrying the victim's husband.
She wanted to marry him. She had to get rid of his wife.
This is going to be a riveting case, pairing a classic lover's triangle with modern forensics.
It's like a Lifetime movie plot.
We're talking about 30 years ago. You know, memories fade, evidence fade.
They can take the lack of evidence and create reasonable doubt.
I have seen convictions in cases, even though there's no murder weapon or no body.
From my knowledge of the case, she's innocent.
I mean, this is an unreal case. It's unreal, but it's happening June 3rd, trial day, Florida versus Sheila Keene Warren, the killer clown trial, right here on your front row seat to justice. When we come back, we've got a 13th juror question asking you how you think Johnny Depp severed his finger. As we go to break, take a listen to what Johnny Depp testified to today.
They were worried about getting my finger clean, so they tried doing that at Malcolm's, and then Kipper said, no, we've got to get to emergency room, and we've got to get hold of the tip of his finger. So we went to the emergency room. The doctor asked me what happened, and I lied to him. I said that I had smashed it in these large accordion doors, that it got caught in the accordion doors.
Why would you lie about that?
I lied because I didn't feel, I didn't want to disclose that it was what it was. I didn't want to disclose that it had been, I didn't want to disclose that it had been misheard, that it thrown a vodka bottle at me and then took my finger off. I didn't want to get her in trouble. then she came down to the bar and found me there. And of course started screaming, "Oh, you're drinking again, yeah, the monster," and all that. So she walked up to me and reached and grabbed the bottle of vodka, and then just kind of stood back and then hurled it at me. And it just went right past my head and smashed behind me. So I stood up and I walked behind the bar, and there was a larger bottle of vodka, the kind with the handle, you know, on it. I grabbed that and I went and I sat in my seat again. I opened the bottle and I poured myself a shot and drank it. Miss Heard was flinging insults left, right, and center, and she then grabbed that bottle and threw that at me. She threw the large bottle and it made contact and shattered everywhere. And I honestly didn't feel the pain at first at all. I felt no pain whatsoever. What I felt was, I felt heat. I felt heat, and I felt as if something were dripping down my hand, you know. And then I looked down and realized that the tip of my finger had been severed, and I was looking directly at my bones.
All right, that's Johnny Depp's version of how his finger was severed. He told the folks at the emergency room something that he said was a lie. They got caught in the door. Amber Heard and her team have a whole different version, that he was like smashing a cell phone and he cut it off himself. So I asked you, how do you think Johnny Depp lost his finger? We begin with our 13th juror comment of the day, coming from Teresa. When Johnny was talking about when the tip of his finger was severed, Amber looked like she was going to start crying, like, "I can't believe I did this to the person I supposedly love." I believe Johnny after hearing his testimony. Nima Romani, do you believe Johnny? This is an important issue.
Oh, it's a very important issue. I mean, this severed finger resulted in 3 surgeries and an infection. So I'm not going to say whether I believe Johnny until I hear what Amber has to say. I'm not going to jump to conclusions, because Johnny told a completely different story to the ER, to his personal doctor, Dr. Kipper. He said he cut himself with a knife, even told a slightly altered version today. So I need to hear all the evidence before I jump to conclusions. I'm going to admit that Johnny presented well today, but it's too premature to say he's telling the truth. We got to give Amber Heard her chance.
All right, Joseph tonight, not on Team Johnny, by the way. Dude's an actor. He makes his money from pretending. He's a liar. Kirk Nurmi, what do you think about this story of the severed finger?
I got to disagree with Joseph. I'm like a lot of people. I found Johnny Depp to be very genuine, very honest, and I could almost, when he told this story, I could picture the scene, if you will. I could see the bottles being thrown. I could see the screaming, the yelling. And, you know, to Nima's point, though, and I'm going to contradict it, is that victims of domestic violence lie all the time to their doctors and give other alternative explanations for their injury. So, yes, we can listen to Miss Heard's story, but the cell phone story makes way less sense than it does this story that just comes with great imagery and seems to come from a genuine place of truth.
Hosanna tonight should have sued her for the finger, should have pressed charges like she did. Proof he didn't want to escalate things. He just wants peace for himself and his kids. Eckler Mercy, what about that? You know, the fact that she went for a protective order, he never did.
Yeah, well, as a criminal defense attorney, we see this often. We see the actual, the actual victim actually try to get peace, but, we see the offender actually get the TPO to get their stories out of the way to really make it harder for the victim to get some peace. It happens often, unfortunately, especially in divorce cases. It's we see it as a way of one side try to get the upper hand on the other side. Let me just already put out there that there's something violent that's happening, and go on from there. And we also have a man. We have a man who's an actor. This is Captain Jack Sparrow. This is Donnie Brasco. This is Edward Scissorhands. This is a manly man. This is, he makes movie. He shows his abs. He is doing all of this. And to have the story and know, you tell the wrong person, it could be leaked on the media and be transferred and translated into a lot of things. I can see why he wouldn't tell the truth to the hospital. I can see why you'll be afraid. And then again, you don't know if you're going to go back together with this person. A lot of victims don't tell the truth because they don't know if they're going to reconcile.
I think at this point, I think we're pretty safe saying these two are not getting back together. Final comment tonight from Brenda. Vinnie, I think one of the reasons Johnny filed the suit is this is the only way to make Heard sit and listen. How about that, Neem? We have about 10 seconds.
Come on, she's a victim of domestic violence. I mean, for someone to, attack her when Johnny's the one who initiated all this, that's shameful.
And I'm shocked, and I didn't see it in any of the comments, but no one said that it's more likely Edward Scissorhands cut off his own finger. Okay. Eckler Mercy, Nima Rahmani, Kirk Nurmi, awesome as always. We'll see you again real soon. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
4.
Lock it in tomorrow. Cross-examination of Johnny Depp starting in the morning. Court TV, gavel-to-gavel coverage. Before we go, I have a photo I need to show you. This is Alvaro Quintana, missing since March 6th out of Phoenix, Arizona. He's only 14 years old. If you see Alvaro, please call 911, 1-800-THE-LOST. We need to get Alvaro home where he belongs. That's it for tonight. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Vinnie Politan. Don't forget, kids,